All right, everybody, we're back from NOLA Motorsports Park. This is the first time we've been to this track, and it's kind of a great place to go racing. I mean, they have everything. They got a lot of nature. They got delicious Cajun food. They got a go-kart track. They got gun ranges everywhere. And something about this part of the world, they have personal injury lawyers everywhere, too, which was both disturbing and possibly applicable to my experience, which we will get into shortly.
Yeah, and in the race itself, a lot of the veteran teams did very well. Team Blue Goose won overall in their Audi 4000.
Right.
Then there were the old dudes and their sweet 60s Ford Ranchero, which was actually running in the top 10.
Yeah, they were P6 at one point, like 2 hours from the end.
Until the car hella blew up.
And Team Tetanus, now, they're going after the championship this year. So they said, all right, well, we got to kick it up a notch everywhere else. So on Friday, they did a crawdad boil for the entire field. And on Saturday, they did a cocktail party, formal attire, for anyone who wanted to come.
So everything was looking great for Tetanus until Sunday morning. Well, you see, Troy's Datsun Z, it was running pretty good, but not tip-top at the end of Saturday.
And you know, when you're going for the championship.
Right, exactly.
Very
so
high
they
standard.
had to go and sync their carbs and index their plugs and whatever else they were doing. And in their minds, a critical piece of this tuning was testing the car at 70 miles an hour in the paddock, driving back and forth before the green flag on Sunday. Needless to say, the judges did not take too kindly to this, and they started Troy Z in the penalty box to start the race. Well, they sat there for not very long, about a lap, but that was long enough for the driver to get all worked up and like, okay, man, you've served your penalty, you can go. He's like, okay, we got this, we got time to make up, and crash. Immediately wipes out, comes back in, and Phil set up, since this car had essentially become a crime scene at this point, Phil set up an entire CSI with the police tape surrounding the Datsun, and they had to sit there and investigate all of the things that had gone wrong in the last 20 minutes.
I should say police tape and all that sort of stuff. That hit me a little personally because, as mentioned, I had a little incident on this. With my rent car, I went out on Saturday to go get crabs for lunch because that's what you do when there's a race going on in NOLA. And it is conceivable that I was driving along and I noticed a crab shack over on the side of the street, and I went to turn and totally some guy just cleaved off the side of my car. And I mean, I'm not talking about who was responsible here, but I wouldn't necessarily say it wasn't me. You know, Louisiana CVCC 122.52.55 always says that the car on the right must yield to faster traffic.
I believe he might have been trying to beat the yellow light, and the duration of that light was not calibrated properly.
I'm not sure anybody saw that road narrow sign, but there was a construction zone ahead on the right.
The heavier vehicle always has responsibility for safety.
This was right after a rainstorm.
Priority is always provided in the state of Louisiana to anybody trying to go get lunch.
Huh. You know, I think people crash more at the sharp corner leading to the Po' Boy restaurant. Also, but terrible, this Camaro team disinformation, aptly named. I gotta say, so their first guy went out, and he didn't even really know how to get on the track, and then he really couldn't get off the track. He spun, he got a black flag, he stopped under the flag station. Where do I go? They told him he still couldn't find his way off the track. This went on for like 20 minutes. And actually, these guys, they were so butt terrible that it transitioned into hella sweet. And by about 30 minutes into the race, these were like the greatest guys ever. They were utterly hopeless, but I mean, I just loved it.
Speaking of Camaros,
with an E,
the Franken Guitar Heads won the heroic fix for this event, and they had a 78 Camaro, and it's all cheated up. And it's the classic thing where if they had just left it alone, it probably would have been fine, but instead it's got hot rod this and hot rod that, which in their case led to the drive shaft falling out, the rear end falling out. They're coming in, scratching their heads, working on it for hours, getting out, doing 2 minutes, breaking something else. They kept at it, and they finally did take the checkered flag. It was very heroic.
I Got Screwed went to Loose Lug Nuts and their Maximo. So this is Lee Tuck and his team. Now, they had Class B wrapped up. On the last lap, their suspension totally packed it in. I don't think it was the Lug Nuts, but it might have been. Screech! Dead on the track. They lost B by 12 seconds.
Oh, man. The special award for this race was the Pride of Stuttgart Award, which of course is a Porsche-based award. Now, we had a couple of Porsches here. There was a 944 on Tetanus's team, and then of course one of the biggest Porsche fans on the internet, Steph Schrader of Jalopnik, brought her 944. Now, they were all hoping to do really well, and the 50-50 weight distribution of the 944 pretty much
Transaxle.
guaranteed that was going to happen.
Balance shafts.
But for one problem, which was that this team,
they're 944s.
Orca Racing, brought a 914, which, you know, in tip-top running conditions sounds roughly like this.
The part that I really liked about this is that Porsche Panorama magazine was doing a whole feature on Steph and her 944 racing career, and meanwhile, as she's like wrenching on stuff out there on the track. Judge's choice went to the spectacular Team Lowball Gremlin. We have seen this car a bunch of times before. It is super awesome. There was a real contingent to give them the IOE. It didn't quite work out for them this time.
Well, they won before, that's why.
Yes, indeed they have. So they got Judge's choice.
Organizer's choice went to the Go for Broke, Geaux.
For broke.
And this is a Chrysler Le Baron.
Le Baron.
And these are a bunch of guys. They were pretty serious, racery type dudes. Yeah. One of the things they do is they make off-road Miatas for rally racing,
totally cool.
Which is totally cool. And they could have gotten a Miata. Yeah. They could have gotten any number of cheaty cars, but instead they bought Spank's old Chrysler LeBaron that he drove out from San Diego for the last MSR race last fall. Now, this car is butt terrible. And it was driving around, and it was scraping its door handles and making funny sounds. Yeah. And the fuel filler, which was maybe not so great to begin with, just completely fell off and was lost.
Yeah, the guy's driving behind him, and all of a sudden, there's like 14 gallons of gas pouring it up. Oh no, let's turn off the motor.
Yeah, and so they spent all of this time trying to find an OEM fuel filler neck because there's really no substitute for that.
Yep.
They went to every pick and pull. They eventually found one off of like a Dakota that worked sort of, and then they just kept going. Now, one of the things I really liked about this was that this car, unlike certain other cars, has a unique performance sound. And now it's been pretty well chronicled on our channel, our connoisseur level of appreciation for the General Motors V6.
Yeah.
Now this is a Chrysler, and I believe the engine is supplied by Mitsubishi, and well, it sounds like this.
So that just gets us to the IOE, and I gotta say, of all the cars in Lemons, and there have been some kind of spectacular cars, this is one of the greatest cars I've ever seen anywhere. It was the WTF 40 of Rats and Racing. This was a Fiero kit car with the F40 body. That's how it started out. It was a flood car, so there's a water line on it. It was totally hammered. And it wasn't just enough to bring an F40 Fiero to Lemons. They had to actually make it into a race car. Oh, and they have their own, Hot Wheels, because you got to do that thing.
Well, so these guys, knowing that the only thing funnier than a kit car Fiero F40 is one that's kind of weirdly fast.
Right. One that's kind of hauling ass.
They swapped in a supercharged 3800. Right. And they decided, there's got to be somebody making Fiero performance suspension parts. And they found some dude in Michigan who there was no reviews at all online, but he was kind of the only game in town. So one dude was in Chicago for business. He says, I'm going to pop up to Michigan and see if this guy actually exists. He goes up there. Sure enough. Oh, yeah, we got a hind joint. And so they put this stuff on. And first, the right steering knuckle totally broke in half, and they fixed it with roll bar tubing. And then the second day, the left steering knuckle broke in half, and I think they might still be there fixing it.
You know what's never happened to a stock Fiero in Lemons? Is steering knuckle broken.
Exactly. Yeah. So the guy said, I know where that guy lives because I went to check to see if he's a real dude. I'm going to go back and hit him in the head with a pipe.
Or a piece of roll bar tubing, most likely.
Right. Well, they used it all up to fix the car.
What just amazed me the most of all is not only was this thing totally awesome, now they've been building this for 2 years. I've been hearing about this car, and it's one of those things you think, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. But man, seeing it, the attention to detail was spectacular. And from, I don't know, a mile away, it kind of looks like a real F40. most amazing of all is that it actually ran, and it ran most, not all of the weekend, and it was not even terribly slow. So this is just a fantastic performance, and IOE well earned.
Domination is ours.
There you go. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
I had the line.
That's not my bud.
Shoe full of beans. So she's gonna have, first she's gonna pour the hot sauce onto the race shoe full of beans. And now,
Because I just win at life. When you own a Porsche, you just win at life.
I mean,
What's up?